What's up, dudes? My name is Nick. Welcome back for another one of my Sunday discussion videos. These videos are just where we kind of take a step back from actually talking about the music itself and talk about things relating to the music. So not specifically like music reviews, album reviews and stuff like that, but we're talking about related subjects and topics and news and other current events and stuff like that. In this video, we're just going to take a general discussion about both of the shows, The Unit and Mix 9. And kind of talk about them and just like what exactly I'm thinking about those shows and stuff like that, which of course we'll get into very shortly. For upcoming topics on this series, patrons, or people who support me over on Patreon, are able to vote and help decide the next topic, which was coming up for next week. So I got a poll that's up over there. If you want to actually have a say and kind of dictate and decide what content gets made on this channel, at least in this regard, then definitely go over there, consider supporting me, and you get to, you can vote. You don't have to, it's not a requirement, so if you don't want to do that, that's perfectly fine. Just have to, go with the flow like you would do normally. So with that being said, let's get into it and basically just talk about it. So of course, The Unit and both The Unit and Mix 9 are going to be shows where contestants show up, they compete. At the end of the day, the supposed best are going to be left, and they are going to presumably be forming a group to promote for a year. I know that's the idea with Mix 9. I think they're going to promote with YG Entertainment. I'm not entirely certain on what the structure and format and all that stuff of The Unit is going to be, but it's kind of, all of that's kind of irrelevant to, it's kind of irrelevant to kind of the main thing that I want to kind of talk about and bring up and just kind of share my thoughts on. And so obviously, right, it kind of makes sense that a lot of other companies and anybody who has the ability to produce a TV show like this would be wanting to get in this game. Produce 101 with both IOI and 101, and their success has shown that it's going to be something that is super profitable, and for the people who are going to be making the shows. So obviously, like, no brainer. If you have the ability, why not try it out? The worst that's going to happen is like you probably break even at the very least with like money and stuff that comes in. Maybe it's not going to be the most profitable thing, but you're probably not just going to lose your shirt because you produced a show like this. It's kind of low risk, in my opinion. It's like, if personally I had the funding and I had the ability to make a show like this, or if I just had to make a show, I would probably make one of these shows. Probably, maybe not, because it's not necessarily in my interest. But if I had to like invest my money and be like, if I lost it, then I would never get it back, and it was like I had one opportunity, then I would definitely go and do one of these shows. But the thing that leaves me kind of scratching my head, and I've been curious and wondering and thinking what the heck is going on as the lineup for both of these shows has been revealed, meaning the idols, like, yes, I mean actual idols from actual groups that you and I are very familiar with, have been announced as participating in these groups. And I'm just wondering exactly like why. And it really feels that every single, and this is primarily girl groups who are affected too, apparently, for some reason. It's weird. Although I guess Mix 9 is supposed to be co-ed, or it's supposed to be two genders. Maybe The Unit is too. I don't know. Like I said, I don't remember. But regardless, it's kind of irrelevant because you've got members of groups who are going off to join these shows. They're going to be presumably gone for 6 months, maybe at the most. And we're talking about like, there's members from Dreamcatcher who are going to participate. I think they're going to Mix 9, and I don't understand the reason for that. Like, you're a group, you're established, you're not gonna fail anytime soon unless the company mismanages them. At least this is from my perception. I don't, of course, I'm not the CEO. I'm not in any of the meetings. I don't know what's going on with the group or anything like that. But I'm looking at a lot of these members who are going to be joining these groups, or who are going to be joining these shows, and I'm just wondering why. I suppose that they're joining it because they see it as the CEOs and the people who are managing the groups and making all of the decisions are looking at these shows as a way to kind of, I guess, kickstart or something the group that they're in. But at the same time, like, at least in my opinion, I personally would rather them put in a good solid 6 months of actual promotions as the group in which they are actually a part of, instead of, you know, going and possibly getting themselves some exposure, possibly not getting themselves some exposure through one of these shows. And then at the end of the day, right, if they actually make the final group, then they're going to be gone for a full year after that. So, you know, just because using the Dreamcatcher example, if the Dreamcatcher members make the final group, they end up, you know, debuting as a part of this group that comes out of this show, then they're going to be gone from Dreamcatcher for an entire year, you know. And I don't understand why. Like, I really do not. You know, I mean, I guess everyone's looking at like, well, you know, look at what happened to Newest with you know, their thing, what happened to them because of the success of their members, or the failures of their members to a certain extent, because not all of them made the final group. You know, that came out of Produce 101. But at the same time, I'm like, Newest was dead. Newest as a group was like dead in the water. They weren't going anywhere but down, unless Politis made some really, really good business, you know, choices, and, you know, got them like the best song of the year. You know, Newest was not going anywhere. They were dead in the water. They were not in anybody's mind. But you've got groups like Dreamcatcher, Daya, whoever else is in this, and there's a lot of these groups that people know, pretty prominent in the industry. They're not, you know, of course, at the top of the game, because none of those people are participating in this group or in these shows. But you've got groups that are marginally successful. Like I said, not like crazy successful. They're not having concerts and selling out or anything like that. But they're not, I don't think, under any threat of like disbanding because they're just not profitable, or they're not worth the time and the money, and they're going to join the show. And I just don't understand. You know, I suppose at best, considering that I guess at best is you make the final round and you win the show, you win the grand prize, and then you get to become a part of one of these groups. You're going to be gone for maybe a year and a half potentially from group promotions, whereas the company could, you know, actually invest their money potentially to put down some good, solid, awesome promotions in that year and a half. They could release 3 songs in that time, 3 albums, 3 singles, 3 something, 2 even. Like, it's like, I just do not really understand. Of course, there's a lot of things that are going on behind the scenes with these companies that I don't know. Maybe they just don't specifically have the money to spend to put down good promotions for the period of time that, you know, under the best case scenario, their members of their groups win the show and they, you know, are gone for a while. I have no idea if they can't afford it, or they just don't think that their group's even that successful, or what. You know, I honestly have no idea. And I mean, I'm really like, this is the big thing that's confusing me, is some of the groups that are, or the members that are participating, obviously, are from groups that are established. And I have no problem with you know, members from groups like Playback or other lesser known groups who are, you know, good. I don't know if they're sustainable or if they're, you know, that popular or anything like that, but, you know, groups that could actually use the boost and the kick and the extra exposure from participating in one of these shows. Like, I have no problem with them participating, because, you know, Playback's been gone for I think they released a song last year, or, you know, with one in the last year or so they're not particularly active, and so, you know, the boost can be good for them, but I don't see how it's necessarily going to be the best thing for Dreamcatcher. It just seems to me like a risk in my opinion. I mean, sure, they can promote as a partial group, but I don't know exactly how great I personally feel about that. You know, if I was a fan of any of these groups who are sending members, I don't know if I would be super happy about the fact that, you know, if the group is going to release a song while the member who's gone is tied up doing stuff with this whole thing, I don't know how happy I would be about that, in all honesty. I have no idea. Of course, ultimately, when it comes down to me personally, I don't really care, because I'm here for the music, and, you know, the faces and the people who make up the group don't necessarily make any difference to the music aside from their voices. You know, or to a certain extent they don't, because some actual people do you know, produce and write and stuff like that. So it just is like, I'm left just absolutely scratching my head, because I think like 50% of the lineup for both of these shows is drawing members from groups that are, in my mind, well established and don't need the extra promotion that this show could potentially get them. And I just don't know how it makes sense, but that is what's happening. So I guess we're just gonna have to live with it. And then also another thing too that I just thought of right now is like, what does this actually mean as far as like what the future promotions and frequency of releases is going to be, while, you know, over say the next, you know, like I said, 6 months, say, just for production airing of the shows, you know, like, are most of these groups just going to go inactive for that time, or what? So that just means that we're going to be getting releases from what, JYP, SM, YG, maybe even Cube. I don't think there's any Cube members who are there. TS Entertainment, Pledis, some of the bigger companies. Is that what we're gonna get? I don't know. It is what it is, I guess. And I'm not really like, I guess I can't really complain about it too much, because it's not my personal decision. You can do whatever you want, but like I said, just does not make any sense. So that's all that I've got. I feel like this was a little bit rambly, and I think probably repeated myself multiple times, but you know, that's what I get for not doing a really great job with writing down an outline of my thoughts. Otherwise we probably could have gotten through this a lot quicker, but it is what it is. So that's going to be all that I've got to say on this topic. I just want to finish this off by saying, just as far as like content wise for today, I kind of intended on making some reaction or uploading some reaction videos, but the music and just the quality of my videos I don't think was particularly great, so I wasn't really happy with those. So no reaction videos today, unfortunately, like I'd intended. This is going to be the only video, and it is what it is. So if you guys have got any suggestions for future topics, of course, then please let me know down in the description box below. If you want to vote on the topic for next week, then all you got to do is go over to Patreon, become a supporter. You know, or don't. You know, you don't have to do anything with that, but you know, your support is very much appreciated. Become a much more engaged member of this community as a result of that as well. So I don't know, it's a win-win for both me and you, I think, but of course you don't have to do anything that you don't want to do. I can't force you. So that's going to be it for this video. As always, I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.